Ladies and gentlemen, this is Intervlog. I said, this is Intervlog.
Поздравляю вас с 80-й годовщиной победы в Великой Отечественной войне.
Today, we gather not just to celebrate a moment in history, but to shine a powerful spotlight on two remarkable leaders. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the fearless president of Burkina Faso, and President Vladimir Putin of the Russian Federation. These two men, one representing the rising spirit of Africa, and the other standing tall for a resurgent Eurasia, are walking side by side into a new world order that challenges domination, uplifts sovereignty, and restores dignity. We are talking about the majestic, powerful, and deeply symbolic 80th anniversary of the Great Victory, Russia's Victory Day, marking the defeat of Nazi Germany in 1945. And guess what? Captain Ibrahim Traoré was there. He wasn't just a guest, he was a distinguished guest, a brother, an honored ally. So today, in this episode, we pay homage, we celebrate, and we take pride. Burkina Faso is rising, Africa is rising, and it is walking shoulder to shoulder with Russia. Victory Day, May 9th, a sacred day in Russia. A day that echoes with the memory of millions who gave their lives to defeat the darkest force of the 20th century, Nazism. The Great Patriotic War, as Russians call it, wasn't just about soldiers. It was about civilians, workers, mothers, children, and entire communities who stood up, resisted, and emerged victorious. For 80 years, Russia has remembered this day with passion. In 2025, the 80th anniversary wasn't just a celebration. It was a global message. It was a reminder that true sovereignty must be defended, that unity must be cherished, and that history must never be forgotten. It was in this spirit that President Putin extended invitations to trusted partners across the world, leaders who understand the meaning of dignity, struggle, and national pride. Among these leaders stood Captain Ibrahim Traoré. His presence was a symbol, a signal, a loud, proud voice of African independence. When the plane carrying the president of Burkina Faso landed on the tarmac in Moscow, it carried with it not just a head of state, but the heartbeat of a revolution in Africa. Captain Ibrahim Traoré arrived as a representative of the Confederation of Sahel States. He arrived as a Pan-Africanist, as a patriot, as a brother in struggle. He was welcomed with honor, with respect, and with strategic recognition, because Russia knows what Africa is becoming, because Putin sees the potential, because Moscow recognizes the courage of African nations like Burkina Faso that have dared to say no more to neo-colonialism, foreign interference, and economic dependency. Captain Traoré's arrival was followed by powerful moments of engagement. He was no ordinary observer. He participated in high-level bilateral meetings. He discussed strategic matters. He took part in the shared vision of a multipolar world. And yes, he also stood proudly beside President Putin during the commemorations. A moment of honor, a moment of alliance, a moment of history. Behind the cameras, away from the cheering crowds and majestic parades, something even more important was happening: diplomacy, quiet diplomacy, strategic conversations, ideas exchanged between two leaders determined to build something greater than themselves. Captain Ibrahim Traoré and President Putin held a private tête-à-tête. They discussed bilateral relations between Russia and Burkina Faso, military cooperation, education, infrastructure, energy, technology. But also, they looked beyond their borders. They discussed the Sahel, the Confederation of Sahel States, the BRICS alliance, the vision of a new Africa that does not bow down but stands firm. This wasn't about aid. It was about respect. It was about investment. It was about sovereign nations working together, without interference from those who have exploited Africa for centuries. In a world fractured by war, greed, and manipulation, it was inspiring to see the unity that Victory Day brought. Leaders from Venezuela, China, Brazil, Cuba, Mongolia, and now Burkina Faso, all united in Moscow, all standing beside President Putin, all rejecting the imposed narrative of the West. They stood not just for Russia, but for sovereignty, for truth, for dignity. And among them, Captain Traoré stood tall, the only West African leader at that level of honor. He represented all of us who are tired of being told how to live, who to trade with, and what kind of future we should have. The world is changing, and thanks to leaders like Traoré and Putin, we are seeing a world where power is no longer centralized in the hands of a few imperialists. We are seeing a world where Burkina Faso can trade with Russia directly, where Sahelian youth can study in Moscow, where African infrastructure can be built with Russian technology, and where both nations win. Victory Day is not just about war. It is about memory, culture, identity. Russia celebrates it with music, parades, national pride, and even exquisite banquets and concerts. This year, President Putin hosted a grand reception. World leaders tasted Russia's finest dishes, saw its cultural heritage, and were reminded that every nation has a soul. Captain Traoré, representing the proud traditions of Burkina Faso, was immersed in this rich environment. He did not attend as a beggar. He attended as a brother, as an equal, as someone bringing his own history, his own culture, his own story. It is this mutual respect that we at Intervlog celebrate. When two civilizations meet in respect, peace and prosperity follow. And that's what we saw. Compare this to the fading world order, where African leaders were summoned like children, told what to do, and punished when they disobeyed. That world is dying. The world where Africa was a pawn. That world is over. Captain Traoré and President Putin represent a new world, a world where Burkina Faso is no longer ignored, a world where Russian soldiers train alongside Burkinabe soldiers, where African dignity is restored. While some leaders stayed away due to political pressure or internal disputes, Captain Traoré said, "I will go." Not because he was forced, but because he chose to stand with a friend, because history must be remembered, and because the future must be built. To the youth watching this video, remember this moment. Remember May 9th, 2025, because in your lifetime, you will see a new Africa. You will see a Burkina Faso that builds its own factories, educates its own engineers, protects its own people, and determines its own destiny. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is planting the seeds today, and President Putin is offering the tools to help them grow. Together, they are building something future generations will be proud of. You must be ready to study, to work, to defend, and to develop. Because our leaders are creating the path, now it is up to us to walk it. Today's world is no longer unipolar. The rise of China, the resilience of Russia, and the awakening of Africa mark the dawn of a multipolar planet. Victory Day was not just about remembering the past, it was about declaring the future. A future in which nations do not have to kneel to global financial institutions, but can rise with their own models, cultures, and systems. Burkina Faso is on that path, and it is not alone. It is finding brothers in the East, in BRICS, in Asia, in Latin America, and most importantly, in the Sahel. Let us take this spirit seriously. Let us make our nation strong. Let us build industries, reform education, invest in agriculture, and create technologies that match the dreams of our people. Traoré and Putin are telling us, it is possible. Vlog family. This is more than a celebration. It is a revelation. The 80th anniversary of Russia's great victory showed us that history lives, that alliances matter, and that the future belongs to the brave. To President Vladimir Putin, we say thank you for honoring our president, for treating him with dignity, for recognizing Burkina Faso. To President Ibrahim Traoré, we say thank you for being courageous, for standing tall, for representing Africa with honor. Let the world see. Burkina Faso is no longer on the sidelines. We are at the table. We are in Moscow. We are in the future. Stay proud, stay informed, and stay connected. Intervlog will be here every step of the way. Long live Burkina Faso. Long live the Confederation of Sahel States. Long live the Russian Federation. And may the spirit of Victory Day guide us all toward peace, prosperity, and sovereignty. 80th anniversary of the Great Russian Victory. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, distinguished guest in Moscow. The President of Faso, Head of State, His Excellency, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, arrived in Moscow, the capital of the Russian Federation. In the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the Soviet people over the Nazi invaders, Great Patriotic War 1941 to 1945. Indeed, it was on May 9th, 1945, that Russia announced its victory over Nazism in World War II. And ever since, the Russian people have celebrated this historic triumph every year. In view of the strong partnership ties between our country and the Russian Federation, and at the invitation of the Russian authorities, the President of Faso, Head of State, His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traoré, attend the Great Victory festivities alongside his counterpart, His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, and several other heads of state. During his stay in Russia as a distinguished guest, His Excellency Captain Ibrahim Traoré will have a tête-à-tête with his Russian counterpart, His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin, on strategic, bilateral, and multilateral issues. The Burkinabe head of state will also hold talks with the community of the Confederation of Sahel States, ESA, living in the Russian Federation. Putin hosts world leaders ahead of Victory Day celebrations. A series of high-profile meetings set the stage for international diplomacy during the 80th anniversary of Victory Day. As Russia prepares to commemorate the 80th anniversary of Victory Day, President Vladimir Putin has embarked on a series of high-profile meetings with foreign leaders arriving in Moscow for the celebrations. This year, approximately 36 heads of state and government are expected to attend the events, including significant figures from Latin America, Asia, and Africa. On May 7, 2025, Putin met with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, where they discussed enhancing economic ties and global issues, culminating in the signing of a strategic partnership agreement. This meeting marks the beginning of a busy diplomatic agenda for Putin, who is set to engage with several other leaders in the days leading up to the Victory Day parade on May 9th. On May 8th, Putin held talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping, a key meeting that analysts believe will focus on economic cooperation, particularly regarding a long-discussed gas pipeline project from Russia to China. The discussions may also touch upon collaboration within the BRICS framework and the ongoing situation in Ukraine, especially with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva also in attendance. Additionally, on May 9th, Putin plans to meet with leaders from Uzbekistan, Serbia, and the Republic of the Congo, followed by 5 bilateral meetings on May 10 with leaders including the General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, Tu Lam, and the head of Zimbabwe, Emerson Mnangagwa. To honor the visiting dignitaries, Putin will host a grand reception which will include a concert and an official dinner. While specific details of the menu have not been disclosed, past receptions have featured dishes such as smoked duck salad, crab and scallop coquilles, and beefsteak with pepper sauce, showcasing Russian culinary traditions. In previous years, Putin has also introduced foreign leaders to Russian culture through events like ballet performances. However, it remains uncertain if similar cultural activities will be included this time around. Political analysts suggest that the Kremlin may organize additional informal gatherings to express gratitude to the leaders for their attendance, particularly during such a significant occasion. Despite the high-profile guest list, not all leaders will attend the celebrations. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev has opted to remain in Azerbaijan for internal commemorative events dedicated to Haydar Aliyev, as explained by Yuri Ushakov, a senior aide to Putin. This decision has raised eyebrows, with some speculating that Aliyev's absence could be politically motivated, especially given the recent tensions between Azerbaijan and Russia following a plane crash incident involving Azerbaijan Airlines. Aliyev has demanded accountability from Russia regarding the crash, which he claims was caused by ground fire and electronic warfare. The Russian government has expressed its commitment to a thorough investigation, but Azerbaijan has deemed this response insufficient, leading to strained relations. Moreover, the president of Laos, Thongloun Sisoulith, will also miss the parade due to health concerns related to COVID-19, with the Laotian delegation being represented by its Minister of Foreign Affairs instead. In contrast, Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has confirmed his attendance at the events, expressing his eagerness to participate in the celebrations. As the week unfolds, Putin's schedule is described as a never-ending and very important political marathon, as he engages in discussions that could shape future international relations. The significance of Victory Day, commemorating the defeat of Nazism, remains a cornerstone of Russian national identity. And this year's events are expected to emphasize both historical remembrance and contemporary geopolitical dialogues. With leaders from various nations converging in Moscow, the celebrations not only serve as a tribute to the past, but also as a platform for addressing current global challenges. The outcomes of these meetings could have lasting implications for Russia's foreign relations and its role on the world stage. As the world watches, the Victory Day events in Moscow are set to be a focal point of international diplomacy, showcasing Russia's efforts to strengthen alliances and navigate complex geopolitical landscapes amidst ongoing global tensions. Victory Day is rooted in the memory of immense sacrifice. The Soviet Union lost an estimated 27 million people, soldiers and civilians alike, during what is known in Russia as the Great Patriotic War. The victory in 1945 came at an unimaginable human cost, and this annual celebration is a tribute to those who perished to defend their homeland and the future of Europe. For many Russian families, the war's memory is personal. Photos of grandfathers in uniform, stories of battles and sieges, and the legacy of survival are passed down through generations. The Immortal Regiment marches, in which millions carry portraits of relatives who fought or died in the war, embody this emotional and familial connection. As years go by, these rituals ensure that remembrance does not fade into abstraction. In modern Russia, Victory Day plays a central role in shaping national identity. It offers a unifying narrative in a vast and diverse country, reminding citizens of a time when unity, sacrifice, and patriotism led to the defeat of a formidable enemy. Regardless of political affiliations or regional differences, Victory Day binds the population together through a shared history of resilience. As global politics evolve and internal challenges emerge, this day becomes even more crucial. It is a reminder that national strength lies not only in military might, but in the ability of a people to come together in times of peril. Victory Day celebrations are not only for Russians, they are a statement to the international community. The grand military parade on Red Square, the display of advanced military hardware, and the speech by the Russian president all send a clear message. Russia remembers its past and remains vigilant in protecting its sovereignty. In a world where historical narratives are often contested, Victory Day reaffirms Russia's interpretation of its role in World War II. It challenges any attempts to rewrite or diminish the Soviet contribution to the defeat of Nazism. This assertion of historical truth has taken on renewed importance amid geopolitical tensions and efforts to reframe 20th century history. As the generation that directly experienced World War II dwindles, the responsibility to preserve its memory shifts to younger Russians. Victory Day becomes a bridge between past and present, an opportunity to educate, reflect, and pass on values of courage, perseverance, and honor. Modern commemorations increasingly blend tradition with innovation. Digital archives, interactive museums, and online broadcasts ensure that Victory Day reaches even those who cannot physically attend events. These tools help sustain interest and engagement, especially among youth. Ironically, the celebration of victory over one of history's most devastating wars also underscores the value of peace. The haunting memories of bombings, blockades, and concentration camps reinforce the need to avoid the horrors of global conflict. While Victory Day honors military triumph, it also stands as a solemn reminder of the human cost of war. In today's turbulent world, marked by new conflicts, rivalries, and ideological divides, Victory Day serves as both a warning and a beacon. It reminds us of what was lost, what was won, and what must never be repeated. Decades after the cannons fell silent in 1945, Victory Day remains one of Russia's most sacred and meaningful holidays. It is not just about parades and fireworks. It is about memory, identity, and continuity. It is about honoring the fallen, celebrating resilience, and reaffirming a nation's role in shaping world history. As time marches on, Victory Day endures, not as a relic of the past, but as a vital thread in the fabric of Russian life. This is the end of our program today. See you on Intervlog, same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you for watching Intervlog. Thank you.